Welcome back to Western Pennsylvania. And I said I had all the problems solved on the Honda, which I do, but what I want to call this is hard detailing. Detailing is like washing it, getting it clean, waxing it, maybe even doing the clay bar that I showed in other videos. This is where you have some things and you just don't want to put it on the bike or have it on the bike where you're always looking at it. It looks bad. And what I have is the side panel that goes down on the left side of the bike, and it has a compartment. But here is what I'm dealing with. This pad goes on here and it covers most of it, but I'm doing so much work. Do you really want to see this in this piece up here? It's not that much to fix. And then what I really want to show is I am going to wet sand this because it's a little high. They had taken something straight, like I think they used a soldering iron. It just looks like the thing, and they soldered it like my plastic welder. My plastic welder has a flat one, but this one he went in and on the inside he did it too, which doesn't hurt, and it's good and strong. He did a nice job on it, but I don't want to see that. This side on the right, when I was going to washed it and cleaned it, and I've been using this Ultimate Black plastic restorer. This isn't black, but I put it on there, and you put it on like you'd put your wax and stuff. Then you wipe the excess off right away, and it gives it kind of a nice shine. I haven't done it to this yet because I'm going to fix this. But what I want to show is once I sand that, it's down in. A lot of it's down in. So I'm going to use my spot putty and one of these, and I'm just going to fix it like from here out. This I don't think I need to fix. I'll fix it from here out, and then these out this way. The middle can be left go because there's a pad on it, and I'll use one of these spreaders to get that putty in there. Then I'll wet sand that, get it back down to level, and go real easy on this because I don't want to dig into the original, because it's not like a perfectly smooth surface. It's a little grainy. But the thing is, how do you get that covered up with paint? You know, and you don't want to paint the whole thing, just what you have to. Like a chip, I use a brush and that, and I go in. This I'm going to use spray, and you're not going to believe this step on this. I did it on this side where they had some black, like it looked like paint, but it wasn't on the top. I couldn't get it off. And a big warning, I used a little bit of acetone, and I was going on that paint. Well, it ate into this. It was melting it. So do not use acetone on this. I should have probably tried paint thinner, but I got the perfect fix. So let me get this all fixed and ready to blend it in, and I'll show you. And here's what I'm going to use. Found this, I think, Ace Hardware or Walmart or somebody. Krylon. It's called Chalky Finish, and it's Anvil Gray. This matches that so much. The lid looks a lot lighter, but if I just mist it on there to cover, just enough to cover these spots I'm going to have, let it go, and you can see a little difference. Then once that's dried good, I go over it with this Ultimate Black plastic restorer, because it puts a little bit of a shine. You know, it's almost like the stuff you spray on and wipe off, Armor All. It's almost like an Armor All, but it blends it even more. I did it on this side with that paint that he had on there. I don't know, it wasn't, it was just like, it wasn't like it was dripped. It was like, I have no idea why it's on there. But when I blended that in, I could not believe the difference. I mean, it looks beautiful. Looks like, and I mean, if somebody walked up and looked at it, they'd never know it was even done. So I'm going to take this off camera, and I'm going to fix all this, get the putty on. And I didn't even use a primer. I just went right with this Krylon Chalky Finish, Anvil Gray. And that stuff matches this. So if you have one, this is what I used on the two plastic parts down at the bottom for the engine guards. That's what I use to paint them, and they match in perfect. I just have to go over them with this to get a little bit of the shine to make it kind of blend in with everything else. But that stuff is amazing. Starting to get dark. It's 25 after 8, but I wanted to hit this. I have this all smoothed out with the spot putty, and I'm just going to paint, I think, from here down and then kind of blend it in up here. I don't have to paint the whole thing. So I wanted to show how this chalky finish anvil gray works on this. So if you have one of these STs, Honda ST 1100, it'll probably match this. But I just happened to see it in there and thought, that looks like it. So let me hit it. Now it might look a little lighter, but when I put that restorer on it, which I'll do after this is all done, I'll do the whole thing with that restore stuff. See, it'll really blend it in good. But I couldn't get over this, and you can see it's not if the light's on it, it's not a real heavy coat I'm putting on. And up here, you don't want to tape it off. You'll have a line. If you don't have a line and you shoot it that way like I did there, it blends in better. You don't see where it's done. So just a little work, and I'm really starting to get this done. Man, after this I am taking a break. I'll tell you, a neighbor come down and asked me, I thought you'd be done with that. I said, every time I go to do something, that had that big crack, and then my pad will cover these spots that are still bad. It goes out around, it's bigger, so that'll cover that. So there's no sense of really working it, just it'll be fine. I started putting all the panels back on the Honda ST 1100. Next thing is I got to put the cover up there, the big thing, like on a bike it looks like the gas tank, but it's the air filter. Gas tank's back there. So I cleaned it and everything, and when I had bought it, the gas cap cover, right where you look, you can see this like mark on it. It's like the paint's been taken off. I feel it, there's no ridges sticking up, it's smooth. So I'm going to show you how I go about fixing that spot there. Now I have a spot down in here on it that isn't clear through the paint, and I think I'm going to have to kind of spray it real light, maybe mask some of it off. But going to the left and the right of it, because it's right in there, I don't want to mask it off. I don't want a sharp edge. I want to kind of blend it out. But first I'll show this one. So I washed this real good with car soap, and that, like I said, there's no rough edges sticking up. I can feel it because it just tore the paint off, but all the edges are all right. So if it was rough, I'd kind of drag my nail over it and scrape it. I want to get it so that the scratch is down in, it's not above the paint like pieces sticking up. So that's right where I want it. And what I'm going to be using is this paint that I had bought at the auto parts that matches this pretty close. I mean, it isn't perfect, but it's better than every time you get on the bike you're looking at that thing. And I got a little artist brush. I'm going to be using that to fill that in with paint. I got a little plastic cup to put some of that paint in. I got paint thinner to clean my brush, and I got alcohol. So that's washed and dried. So I'm going to take a Q-tip and alcohol, and I'm going to clean this right in that scratch and all around it like that. Get all the fingers, you know, oil off, and you know, anything that's on it, make it really clean. I can just wipe this. Now a guy could take that and spray the whole thing, you know, because it ain't that big, and it you know, it would blend in good. But I thought, instead of doing that, I'll just try to fix the scratch. Just touch it up. I've mixed this up really good because it's metallic. I shook it for a long time because you really got to mix that stuff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this down inside here off camera. There. Now I got some of that paint. Now I can dip my brush in and just try to get it right in that groove. Put a little more. What I'm doing is I'm adding it, and I'm just about like I'm filling up that scratch. And you can see it's darker, but it looks better already because it's not going to be quite as noticeable. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good filled right there. So I'm going to clean my brush and just let that dry. The paint thinner didn't clean the brush real good, so then I went on to acetone. I used acetone and cleaned it. Now I've let that set and it's still down in. I can tell by looking at it that it's still down in there. I need to build it up. So I'm just going to use what I have here because it's starting to thicken up. Mix it up a little bit. Instead of spraying more, just use what I have there. And it's probably a little darker because I'm brushing it. You know, it's meant to be sprayed real light. But that there, I'm just going to do it for now because I just want to get it done with. Later on I could always, you know, maybe get some of the factory paint from Honda and go over some of these. But probably not. I get this on the road, I'm going to want to ride it. So I'll let that dry and I'll do it a couple more times until I get that built up. So I filled my thing with my brush again, that scratch. Then you can see I come out around here, dip my brush 2 or 3 times and just let it put coating out here. It makes the black so that it isn't so much just a crack. It comes out a little bit darker, then it's lighter out here. So that way it's kind of going to blend it in. So let that dry, and I might not even have to sand it. It looks pretty good, but I'll hit it with a couple sprays of this real light out here across it. Then what I'll do is let it dry good, hit it with a little clear coat, I think, to try to shine it up a lot. Then I'll use the wax and the buff it all out by hand. It might look better. And if it has a little dark line there, it's a lot better than that big white line that was on it. Well, 9:30 at night, I'm ready to close up shop. And you can see right in here, it doesn't look bad. You can still see some of that mark, but it's not quite as bad. So I just misted it with paint. Then I sprayed some clear over top. It blended in pretty good. And for where I open it for the gas tank, that white spot was right here. From here, you can't even barely see it. If you get right at it, you can see it's a little darker there. But I filled that in, and then I ended up spraying the paint across here and feathering it out. I didn't go clear up. I just kind of feathered it. Then I clear coated it. And, you know, buffed it up by hand. It looks good. I won't see that big white mark anymore. And that's what I got done. The other side's the same. Everything's closed up. But I think I got to take this back off. I'll have to check. I might have to take this back off to get that piece in here, but it all has to be cleaned. And I think there's a bolt down here that holds it someplace that I have to get to. I'll check it tomorrow. And I took the bag off and I started cleaning a little bit of like these handles back here and that, but this painted stuff all has to be clay barred, buffed up. And it'll be pretty, about another day or so I'll be done with it and I can take it for a ride. But it's sure looking better than when I got it. Just, you know, left go and really kind of crabby looking, dirty. just need a lot of things. So have a good day.